Hello everyone, my name is Luke Lloyd and welcome to the first of our interactive homework marking videos. So today we're going to be looking at the CEM non-verbal reasoning homework, and you can see that here in top right. It's the week 1 homework and it's the you must, so we're looking at tests 13 and tests 14. And again, to be watching this video you should be in year 5, block 5, and this is really the homework that corresponds to lesson number 2. Just to explain the purpose of this, I'm going to run through, I'm going to try and make it as useful as I can or as easy as I can for you guys to mark it. So we're going to go through each test in order, and I'm going to call out the answers to the questions while also demonstrating on the screen. And what we hope this means is our students from home, or if parents, if it is parents marking it as well, can be a lot easier because you're not having to turn between the pages so you can see exactly what's going on and where. We then would love it, and although I may highlight any particularly things that jump out to me as being difficult, we would love it then if you take any questions from these lessons and bring them to any of the lessons throughout the week, any of the Q&As, and even if you just time it so that you turn up at the end of a lesson, that's a fantastic opportunity to ask questions of one of our tutors. And please remember, even if the lesson content being taught is something different, we'll have lots of Teach It Right tutors in the chat, and so posting questions to the Facebook group, posting questions to the chat, it's absolutely a-okay and allowed, especially in regard to things like homework, where we obviously want you guys to do as brilliantly as possible. Let's start the process. Right, so this is test 13. Again, you should have had 6 minutes to do the 12 questions. I do encourage guys and girls that you time each other or you time yourselves, you get mum and dad to time you. It's so useful now to have an idea. And again, I've said this many times before, but I'm going to give you an example. Let's say there's questions 8, 9, and 10, the 10 mark question. If you were, beautifully trundling along and you got to question 8 when your time was up, you would stop here, write time. But then you would go on, finish the questions, so you'd continue, finish on 9 and 10, and then when you're marking, and this is what we're obviously doing now, but when you mark it, you can then give yourself 2 scores. You can give yourself a score out of 10 for what you got in the time. So let's say you get them all correct up to here, you'd get something like 8 out of 10 for your time score, but you can still give yourself a total out of all the questions you attempted with unlimited time. And what this gives you is 2 measures. One is a measure of sort of your capacity with unlimited time. What do you understand? That's this score. And then one is obviously your score to time. And they will often be different, although not always. Obviously, if you're finishing the test within time, they might be exactly the same. But it means it gives you something to focus on. And so just to explain, if this score is low, it means it's something you obviously find difficult in general, and the best thing you can do is practice this topic, practice this area. And again, this might involve just simply doing more questions, going through the back of the book, finishing off old Teach It Right books on similar topics. So of course now we've gone through multiple rounds of these where we've covered a lot of these questions before in X books or books from blocks past. And equally, you may want to come on down to some of the Q&As or come into lessons and ask a lot of questions in regard to that topic. Have you got any tips for whatever it may be? If this score is low, well, you know that timing is the area to focus on. And how do you improve timing? Well, practice again is an obvious one. Practice always helps, but it might be things like, for example, not doing them in order, going through and picking out the questions and doing 1, then 10, then 9, then 3, then 2, and trying to pick out the easy questions that jump out to you. It might be that if it's a maths question, you're spending too long on the working. It might be on a comprehension question that when you're reading through the comprehension, you're not underlining things. There's lots of tips, again, that can speed you up, sometimes at the cost of maybe even accuracy, you'd think, but there are lots of tips where you can try to speed up as you get more confident with things where certain things become unnecessary. So, for example, in elimination, we love our elimination, but if, for example, on this question here, I was working through and I found that the answer was A, well, is it then sensible for me to go out and work and eliminate all of these questions? Bearing in mind it's the first question in the exam? Possibly not. Once you've discovered an answer, I would stop there, answer everything else, and then if there was time at the end, that is when I would come back and eliminate things that appear beyond the answer. That's presuming I found the answer straight away. But thinking in that nature, how can I be as efficient as possible? How can I get through all the questions, get the easy marks first, and then come back to it is the kind of thing that's going to have a really positive impact on this score, the time score. So that's why I would encourage you to do that, to give yourself 2 different scores so you know what and where to focus on. Right, before we press on to actually just run through the answers, where I will call them out and circle them on the screen, I would just like to run through as well what I expect to see in terms of the working out, because although this is not something that you're going to mark and give yourself points for, it's something that might have affected your final score, and I think just knowing what you should expect to see, what parents should expect to see, but also kids as you, what you should have really done for each question will really help. So these, the number one secret I think is to number the cubes. So this is a 1 cube because it's size 1. The one at the back is a 1 cube cube. This central piece here would take 2 cubes to create it. So although it's 1 piece, I would label it as 2, because it's 2 cubes big. And what this does now, when you come to your question, you can really quickly see that's a 1, 1, 2. Do you have to draw the 1, 2, 2 here? Not necessarily, but I definitely would like to see that you've labelled the example, because of course then you can just count, and as soon as the counting matches, you move. So for example, you could say, look, oh, this is a 2 cube, this is a 2 cube, nope, can't be right. This is a 3L, this is a 3L, can't be right. This is a 3 and a 2, so it can't be right, allowing you to eliminate all of these questions. So this, I definitely would like to see for all of them, and I'll be interested to see if when you've done that, you've got them correct. If you've not done that, they've gone wrong, because I have a feeling that's the kind of thing we expect to see. Right, guys, pencils are ready. I'm about to start running through. So turn to the first page. We'll go through nice and quickly, and I'll just read out all the answers to each test, so you can listen in or look visually as I go through. So, for question 1, A. Question 2, B. Question 3, B. Let's go through it then. So, question 1 is A. Question 2 is B. And question 3 is B. Question 4 is D. Question 5 is C. Question 6 is B. Question 7 is A. Question 8 is B. Turn the page. Question 9 is C. Question 10 is B. Question 11 is A. And question 12 is D. Right, now the only question of all of them I think deserves a bit of extra special attention is this one here, number 12. And the reason I'm going to pay it that extra bit of attention is because I think there could be an argument for question A. So it very much depends again on your intent and your reasoning. I'm not going to say if you just guessed A, I'm not going to give it to you. But if you thought about question A, and when you were going through, you said yourselves, this shape at the back here, because I cannot see the dividing line, it could in theory be, and I'll see if I can draw it, it could in theory be a cube at the back. So this is that red one on the back left. Maybe I should change where my arrow is. So if we had this cube here, and then on this side, we had the L shape and it was rotated round, so it sort of stuck out that way. My best drawing of a cube, so let's see. Together, it made that shape, but because there was a shape in the way in front, we couldn't see the dividing line. You could make the argument that A is a shape, because if you count the number of cubes, this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I think this, again, is a bit of an accuracy on the book's part, because technically you could get away with creating shape 8 from these pieces here. So I think I would potentially consider allowing that one to get just to sneak in number 8 if you were saying, yep, I think it is because these two shapes here and here combine to form a T shape at the back. I just can't see the join. I might consider allowing it. But equally, you can get there with D as well, so D isn't wrong, nor technically is A. But that's the only one out of all of these that we've gone through that has any kind of discrepancy, and it's obviously where they've tried to make it a little more difficult. They've gone above and beyond. Right, now I'd like to have a look at test 14. So again, with this one, it's still just a 5-minute test. And this is what I mean about going through doing your 5 minutes, but then going back afterwards to make sure you've got everything done to give yourself that completeness score. With these, this looks awfully familiar. In fact, I think these examples are the same examples they used last time. So again, it's making this shape slot into the gap. And remember with these, there are no rotations. So it says the first figure must not be rotated in any way. Neither must the second. You need to be able to slot the answer in, because if you could rotate them, you'll look here, C, I would just have to rotate it around this direction, and C would actually end up being the exact same thing as B. And so that's why no rotation is important. I think that's really vital for this, otherwise it will go very wrong. And then what we're doing is we're slotting this in, so if that's the shape here, it's sort of fitting in that gap, going right way back. So with these, what do I expect to see? Well, you can count the empty spaces. So for example, in here, I'm looking 1, 2, 3, 4. What I also like to see is some kind of indication that, yep, this and this, they are the bits that match up. So it's some kind of something to let me know that you've considered essentially where this starting shape takes place on the main picture. So when I was describing it, for example, I was doing sort of different colors. I was saying, hey, well, this bit here is obviously the base, so that's this bit here. Now I can understand it would get quite messy in terms of, you don't really spend any time rubbing out, but you can do lots of little dots and pricks and peels and counting to make sure you have the right number of shapes. And again, as a resort, as well as if you can't just spot where it goes, the last step you can always do is count the number of shapes they've given you, count the number of shapes here, and you can eliminate down some options. For example, B is far 2 cubes, there's no way I can get, I need to add on 6, so 2 isn't there, and this one here as well is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so again, A is too many cubes, and actually, so is C. So you can, just by counting the expected number of cubes, you can get there as well. So a combination of these, of counting, or again, some sort of sketch or some sort of indication to show you've considered what has to go in the empty space, I think is really important. Right, let's get ready to run through the answers. Right, let's begin. Question 1, the answer is B. Question 2, the answer is D. Question 3, the answer is A. Question 4, the answer is B. Question 5, the answer is D. Next page. Question 6, the answer is B. Question 7, the answer is C. Question 8, the answer is B. Question 9, the answer is A. Question 10, the answer is C. Right, everyone, that leaves us with the last slide. So I just want to say thank you first off for watching. I hope this was useful. I hope this sped up the marking process. I just want to highlight again, if you have any questions in any more detail about any of the work from the homework, and if you've marked the You Must homework at home and you've got any questions there, absolutely please do bring it to the Q&A. The CEM Q&A is at, I believe, 11:30 on Saturday. So for 1 hour. So you can come then. That's when every week we'll have a Q&A. And again, the purpose of this Q&A, as well as, how to set up, how to access the homework, things of that nature, anything from the work, that's really what we want to use the Q&A for, to make sure you get that high quality feedback. So bring it then. And of course, we do sessions at least 3 times every week. At the end of those sessions, you're more than welcome to just stop by and ask some questions. What's nice about, of course, those the live lessons is we have tutors in the chat, so any questions you post in there, and they can be about the homework, could be answered then. Right, everyone, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully this was useful, and see you all in the live lessons. Bye-bye.